Hey, Bill Laddick here. I'm going to do this video as a quick flyby and introduction to the Scheduling-123 tool. So I've downloaded the spreadsheet. I have it open. It opens to the README file. I'll let you explore that later, but the good thing to do is to launch the documentation from this link here, so you have it side by side as you're going through this and learning. It opens as a PDF. You can look at the bookmarks I've put in here, and if you want to for instance, look at the structure of the Excel file and understand what each of the sheets means and how to change the options. It's all right there for you. So I would suggest that that be open. Okay, so let's start with the green tabs. Green in this spreadsheet means a place you can enter or change data. That's the only place you should enter and change data. You should never delete rows or columns. You should only delete content that's in a cell. So if you wanted to change this cell, you could delete it and type over it. Something like that. Okay, so the defaults that come in the tool, and we talked in the PowerPoint about the who, what, where, when, why paradigm. And so we have a small business with employees that are working in office locations on different shifts, fulfilling different roles. And I'll go down quickly and just let you look at some of the options that have been filled in. We start with 70 employees. I'll come back to these in another video. The Y table are the roles in this case. There's general staff employees, managers, team leads. The when table is when they will be working. First shift, second shift, third shift. Some of these half shifts have been recorded. Where will they be working? In different offices. The one called Main on first shift. The one called Spring Street on second shift, the one called Uptown on third shift and this half shift. And then how many of each type of person do we need working on those shifts? So we need 5 staff, 2 managers, et cetera, et cetera. And you can see and change some of the options that are there. The next tab is holidays, been pre-filled in out to 2022 with the US holidays. Feel free to change that. Again, don't delete the rows, just delete the data. Put in whatever days you do not want to be scheduled, whatever days your business is closed or not operating. The names, so this would be the who table. We told you there was, or the option said 70 people described. Those are the 70 IDs that are in that column. You just give them names. I put in actresses and actors as sample data here. You give them roles. If it's blank, they assume the default role. That was the first one in the table, which was staff. Okay, this first one is the default role, staff. So if you don't give a role to anybody, they become a staff employee. They fulfill staff roles. These people are managers and team leads. Some people could be multiple roles. You could say staff, comma, manager, manager, comma, team lead. You could put all 3 of them in there, staff, manager, team lead. And then the include and exclude restrictions. When can this person be scheduled, or where can they be scheduled, or where can they not be scheduled? I'll come back to that in more detail later, but that's where that data gets entered. Override is once you've figured this all out and created a schedule and you want to lock it in, that's the data you would fill in there. I won't come back to how that works. So given all those inputs, we go over to these gray tabs, and those are the calculated schedules, just in different forms, and I'll go through each one of them. So the flat assign is really where the magic happens, in particular in this column. It's a pretty extensive formula up here that's doing all the work. And I try to describe that a little bit in the PowerPoint, but don't get scared about that. It just figures out for every day who's the right person to fill that role, given all those restrictions and so on and so forth. So that's where the numbers get assigned, and then we look at them in different reports. So this one is called Grid Assign ID. So we have all the days for the 3 months that this schedule is operating under, all the different locations and shifts and type of role that we're trying to fill, and who got chosen to fill that role by ID number. And then we can go back to the grid assigned name, and so instead of the ID number, it's the same report as this one, just with the name of the person filled in. We can look at a full grid. So this is now with all the names across the top, all 70 of them. How many times did each person get chosen to be in the schedule? And you can kind of see the pattern by looking at the blues. The S means they were scheduled. And this pattern will change, you'll see, based on one of the options called method. You can choose a different assignment method and the pattern will change. The orange means those are exceptions. These people could not have been chosen to be scheduled on that day because of some of the scheduling restrictions that were recorded back on the name sheet. And we'll see a little bit more about that in a minute here. And then all the days that we were trying to schedule people, the red meaning, hey, we couldn't find enough people. There's not enough S's on that row to fulfill all the different slots that had to be scheduled. And for you as the scheduler, that's your kind of clue to look into those days and figure out why and rectify it. It might just be you didn't have enough people of a certain type. Maybe too many people chose vacation that day. Those are the kind of conditions that we're seeing there. This one called bad, where, and when. So we have all the people arrayed on the top and all the different office locations and shifts that are in play down here. And then these are people that had exceptions, like I can't work in this office or I can't work on that shift. And these codes are explained in the PowerPoint, what that means, but just you as a scheduler just looking at an orange block meaning, hey, I got some people that can't be assigned on those days, and the tool's taking all that into account. Whereas on bad dates, same thing, people and days, and these are all the exceptions people were recording. I can't work on Wednesdays, or I can only work on Fridays, or I can't work on this day because I have vacation, or I can't work on that week because I got vacation. These are all the exceptions by the person. We go over to calendar and we see a monthly calendar. This is sort of a simple built-in one. We'll see in a minute that there's a more extensive Google and Microsoft Outlook calendars over here. This is sort of an internal one. You can see the names of the people that were scheduled to work that day in a calendar format. This goes out for 12 months. We're only scheduling up to 3 months. And so October and beyond will be blank, but those will obviously be filled in if you extended your schedule. We have the main office shift 1 being displayed. That's chosen on one of the options over here, which office and shift do you want to display on this calendar. The names of the people, their roles if they weren't a default staff role, managers in this case, you would see team leads. If we chose a different office, there were no team leads in this office. Okay, and then I mentioned that you can take this data and export it, and the PowerPoint describes how to do this. You just basically save this sheet as a CSV, load it into a shared Google Calendar, tell all your people about it. They can go look at Google Calendar and figure out when they've been assigned to work. And same thing for Microsoft Outlook. So all these tabs that are in gray are recalculated instantly. The moment you come back over here and change an option, you do something over here, all that schedule gets recalculated instantly. So I'm going to stop the video and leave it at that.